money tuna lobster. Johnny's company thing. I always like how this one turned out. It's actually pretty solid. One thing that everyone's been asking for is more merch, which we've never gotten to do, but that'll be my summer
Why is
project.
it we?
Because we have to do the final designs.
Why is it we? I told you. Talk to your brother.
Hear
He's
that,
into
guys?
that stuff.
My mother doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
She doesn't care if you guys have merch or not.
You know, I have a life.
No, mother, this is your life.
No, it's not.
This is your everything.
Oh, God.
God, MacBooks are so goddamn slow. All right. I mean, I think I'm pretty much good. Now, Mother, you gotta tell everyone about the week.
It was lovely.
It was lovely. My mother went on her 30-year anniversary vacation with my daddy.
As Grandma said, oh, the Bahamas.
She called me before. Grandma butt dials me more than anyone.
I know.
It's amazing how much she butt dials.
Well, she tells me nobody calls her. And then today, Aunt Sue happens to be up there, and she said her volume was down. She didn't hear the phone ringing. I go, no kidding.
But she called me.
Yeah, well, you get a crazy text message from her out of the blue.
Yeah, well, she called me, and then I called her right back, and she didn't answer. So I was like, oh, I guess she butt dialed me again. And then they left a voicemail of her on a phone call with someone else. And I was like, how'd you manage that, Graham?
Well, all I know is she asked where I went. Oh, the Bahamas. Like that.
That's how she said it?
Yep. Oh, the
Come
Bahamas.
on, Google. We can do this, MacBook.
She will deny it, but that's how it was said.
I don't even know. What year is this MacBook? This is... Oh, this is a 2015. Mommy, I need an upgrade.
Good luck.
Mommy.
Aren't you like 30 or something? 35 years old?
Mommy. 35? What?
Aren't you like, oh, really
Mom,
old?
when's my birthday?
Aren't you really old? Aren't you like a 40-year-old man?
Mommy. Oh my goodness, this is already taken. Anyway, but
Are
yeah,
you on the right Wi-Fi? That's what I always
This is
get.
just launching. This isn't even internet yet. But verifying Chromebook is because my computer ran out of power, I think.
You have too much stuff running probably at the same time.
Okay, I have Discord, music, and notes.
It's too much.
And I don't even think there are anything in the notes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
See it just bouncing. Too bad you don't have your MacBook. I'd say we could plug yours. There we go. My goodness, that was fun.
I haven't even turned mine on yet since I came home.
Do you want an award for that?
I just haven't turned it on.
I mean,
I was thinking about it
you've
today.
been home for less than 24 hours.
Well, I mean, I had my iPad the whole time I was away, so I went through
I was
emails
wondering
and
what
stuff.
you brought.
Yeah, you can't travel without that anymore.
Yeah.
You gotta have some sort of electronic stuff, and the phone's too small for me to watch a movie or anything.
Yeah.
People were
What'd
jealous.
you
I had
do
the big ass iPad on there. They all had their little phones on the chair. I had the big ass iPad.
Oh.
So I
What
could
about
see
on the
it.
plane?
That's what I used.
Oh.
They don't have TVs anymore, Chris. Everything is all Wi-Fi off your own apparatus. So
That's unbelievable. Really?
yeah. Well, we've been flying United and American, so at least for these East Coast flights, I haven't had a plane
For the North Carolina trip, I don't
with a what?
remember if there was
No, none of my North Carolina had a TV or anything.
Yeah. How are we paying more but getting less?
Right.
These airlines need to step their shit up.
Which was a pleasure traveling with Grandma with no entertainment whatsoever, but she did sleep quite a bit. I mean, like, what was she
Do
going
you
to do?
want to play some poker?
Yeah. I saved whoever was sitting next to her by sitting in the middle.
Oh, did you?
She that person's ear off. Anyhow,
I don't even know where to start today.
I want
would
to
you
start
like
with
to
this
start?
one because it's not really a story, but I just want to post it for our I don't know. You shouldn't get demonetized or something over
I don't
it.
even. I actually have a meeting with YouTube next week, so
You can tell them my mother sits and kiss my ass. This is. Oh, should I send it to you?
I already have everything.
Okay.
Unless you
Did you
send
post
it
it?
already?
Could you post it?
Is
Okay, I
it?
sent
Tell
it
me
to
which
you.
one it is. You said this one.
Oh, sorry. The signature
Guys,
verification.
this is what I mean. It's like it's like pulling teeth.
I'm still on the beach, man. It's the Arizona.
She's 10 coladas in. Arizona.
The Arizona signature verification.
It's the one my mother didn't send me.
No, I did.
Which one?
Arizona signatures JPEG. It's not an article. It's a JPEG.
What on what? What'd you send it on?
Citizen free.
Okay.
I'll send it to you again. Right, I emailed it. Let me send it to you. No, I gotta airdrop it. That'll take forever with your computer. Here.
Well, I get it to my phone, but Guys, this is how the podcast secretly normally starts. We try and figure it out.
Yeah, it usually takes us a good 10 minutes before we kick it.
We're like, hey, let's just work the wheel. I'm like, Mom, talk about vacation. She goes,
Amateur.
this is good. Guys,
I said it was good. I said it was good.
Whenever you go on a podcast and someone goes, hey, tell us about your trip, don't go, hey, it's good.
I said it was good. Did you get it?
I got it on AirDrop. I didn't get it on.
So if you post it, I just want people to see. So
you still haven't sent it to me.
I did.
You haven't sent
I
me
airdropped
shit.
it.
To my phone? How are people gonna see it?
I got Chris airdrop. It says waiting.
It's Michael's. Okay, Mother, it's going to my phone.
Is it going?
Here. Yes.
Oh, I thought you said you wanted it on there.
How are the people gonna see it on the screen if it's on my phone?
All right, everybody, just calm down.
She's on the beach. She's hitting the bar. she's still drunk from the trip.
Oh, stop. I went with Dad. How drunk could I be?
They almost took her off the plane.
All right, here it comes. I just sent it.
Let's see. This ought to be good. Come on. To my email?
Yeah, I emailed
it. There we go.
I don't appreciate sarcasm.
So what am I looking at here?
All right.
Now, hold on. Now, is this going to be a worthwhile article? Or do we
it's not an article. No.
Do we go through all that?
I don't even have to say anything. So just scroll down, and I just want people to see this. This is signature verification. So when you vote in certain states, you have to sign, you sign the book before you go to vote. Mm-hmm. They do it in different ways, but basically you have to sign within a certain box. So this was a sampling because the election's being contested in Arizona.
Yeah.
Okay. And the judge in the case has been going back and forth between appeals and whatnot. But the most recent appeal, the judge said, you could send it back. You can do this information signature verification.
Yep.
So this is just a sampling of why they think there's a problem with the signature verification. The person.
That signature's not good enough?
Okay. Well, no, you have to zoom in.
You want me? Oh, that's as far as I could go.
No, zoom out rather.
Oh, zoom out.
Show the whole thing. Okay. All right.
How high do you want to go?
Start at the top. Okay. Keep going down. Down.
Okay, you want to go top to bottom. Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Oh.
That's supposed to be a signature match.
Now, for those of you that can't see it, because I do notice that sometimes it's a little too far away, the signature. I guess I could post this one, but I don't think you need a magnifying glass to see those two. Now, in defense, hear me out. Ready?
Yeah.
When people sign when Kenny signs for Stex?
Yeah.
With his signature?
Anybody.
Oh wait, it's a signature match, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
You understand me? This is supposed to be the same person.
Yeah.
All right, scroll down to the next one.
I feel like we're doing
there's only 3 of them on this. This is just a sample. Okay, here's the next one. There's the signature match. That's a weird one.
That doesn't even look like a signature. What is that? So for those of you that can't see, it's like 3 S's.
You're zoomed in too much because it's very grainy.
But I want everyone else to see it. They can't see it from.
Oh,
far
you have
away.
to blow it up. Oh,
so,
okay. Because they're seeing it through the camera. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you posted it on there.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but okay, you don't even need it to be not grainy.
But
to
what's
see a
interesting
difference.
to me, if you look at them, they don't stay in the box. It's almost as if they were printed. This one maybe, but it almost looks like someone stamped them in. Right? Like beautiful handwriting on the right.
Well, you have to understand, one was done earlier. So when you register, you give your signature.
Right.
And when you go to vote, you sign. In certain situations, you would sign to vote if you want to do a mail-in ballot or something like that. Then they're supposed to compare the signatures. That's part of the process. Mm-hmm. This is what was being accepted as okay in Arizona for a signature verification. And these are just 3 samples. That's why they went to court to say, if this is, we believe that signature verification is a joke here, what went on, okay? But nobody ever really looks at the signatures because we don't do a deep dive. And finally, Arizona, and trust me, this goes on in every state, okay? But especially this time because we had mail-in ballots, you had to sign and blah, blah, blah. But this is what they're presenting to the judge to say, this is what they accepted, the Arizona election, for signature verification.
Right. Well, the first one I'll give benefit of the doubt in the sense that maybe this person was just too lazy to freaking do their signature.
No,
but
because the person should have rejected it if it wasn't close enough.
But then I look at this one, and this one someone had to put effort in to actually do that. First off, it's not even in the box. Secondly, it's not even like a signature. First off, what is SS? Has nothing to do with. It looks like a Louisa Grant or something like that. Again, beautiful handwriting on the right. Mm-hmm. But it's just kind of wild to me that someone had to put in the effort there, and it almost looks printed on in the sense of, see how the box at the top kind of changes colors? That's printed. That means that someone printed over it.
Well, I don't know if what some of these samples may have been highlighted for the court, but look at the last one.
Come on.
Now that looks like two completely different signatures. So it was probably done by two different people.
Yeah. Well, okay. I would say that about all of them.
Yeah.
Probably.
That's illegal.
Yeah. But, I mean, you think that one's the crazy one? You don't think that one's the crazy one?
My guess is, and I don't know exactly how the machine reads it, my guess is it's just looking for some sort of characters in the box to say it's accepted. Because this is accepted. Somebody verifies this, okay? It's subjective to some extent.
I might have to put black lines over the names, though, because if those are real people, I don't know if I can...
Well, you can, because it was posted on... So it's public domain.
Yeah. Oh, it's public domain?
Yeah, this is off of a website. It's 17,822 accepted ballots with mismatched signatures in an election that I think the other person won by, was it 10 or 12,000 votes?
You're too close to your mic, by the way.
10 or 12,000 votes.
Right.
So they know of 17,822 that were mismatched. If given the chance to do a deep dive, I'm guessing they're going to find a huge number.
Yeah.
The reason why it matters is because many states had this system during the last election and could possibly have it going forward if they do the same rules. Some states passed legislation since the 2020 election and the 2024 midterm. I'm sorry, the 2022 midterm, where they enshrined, if you will, into their state constitution the right to do mail-in ballots, all this other stuff, late, blah, blah, blah. But this is a perfect example of, for those who are not aware, everyone assumes, oh, somebody checks those signatures. That's where you could have some, let's say, funny business.
Yeah.
If they're allowed.
Those were some very off signatures, to say the least. But we might not even have to worry about it because Anderson Cooper tells viewers that they have every right to never watch CNN again after Trump's town hall. Now, this article is a little misleading, and I'm kind of almost like purposely misleading you here. Basically, this is the idea of Trump lied so much during his town hall interview that I'm sorry we put this on CNN. That's basically the way Anderson Cooper put it on. But the way that I think is pretty unanimous now on social media, I was saying this to you, I mean, the Trump wave on all the social medias is nuts right now. It's pretty incredible. He did, someone brought up a good point, and this is someone that, Uncle told me this based on guys that he knows in Trump's corner, if you will. He's a little more disciplined, and I feel like we saw that on this town hall meeting. It was very well done. Again, he does have his little... there was one point where the lady that was interviewing him, which everyone's bashing right now, she says something and he just goes, man, you're a nasty woman. Yeah. And I was like, it's better than some of the other things he said, but it was a really well done town hall on his end. Okay. Good composure. Good
I didn't see it, the whole thing.
Because you were too busy on the beach.
I was away. I was at a beach bar at that point.
Mom was playing snooker with Dad in a pool hall.
Swim up bar, Trump town hall.
Yeah. Priorities.
Yeah. But I caught the highlights the next day. And
real fast, where did you get? So I didn't know this, but the one that they showed on 30 minutes on CNN was 30 minutes long. The full thing was 90 minutes.
Did they delete it? Like they cut 20 minutes out of it, or
they
something
cut
like that?
60 minutes out of it.
First of all, I give CNN, I don't know if credit's the right word, but they were trying to get some ratings out of it.
Yeah, and they definitely got them.
Right. And for a group that was adamant about never having Trump on again, he's a liar, he's this, he's that. Obviously, ratings Trump. So they want him on, and I think they got him. Got that right. Obviously, they had him on, and it was a good opportunity for CNN to rise above their partisanship, if you will.
Yeah.
And she was not the right person to do it. And I think they fought a little bit too much with him, where they should have just let
him go.
Byron, what was his name? Byron Donalds was on.
Beating Trump in an argument, arguably, is you just kind of want him to keep going on his own until he makes a mistake. If I was on the opposite, because trying to debate with him is pretty much impossible.
Yeah.
We've seen it on the right where like Ted Cruz tries to debate with him and he's just like, your wife's a dog.
Well, I saw at one point, he pulled out the article to one of her comments.
Right.
And, she's trying to claim that didn't happen, whatever it was. And he
came
pulls it
with
out.
A lot of proof.
Right. And still they'll say afterwards, well, he lied.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, they're starting to look absurd.
Well,
I mean, as goofy as he can be sometimes, the absurdity of it is getting ridiculous to the average listener, regardless of what your politics is.
So what's kind of funny, and this is a little hypocritical of me to say after what we said last time about the TikTok stuff, but I feel like right now all the social media platforms are really showing this off, the side of this town hall that did incredibly well. I don't know if he's got a marketing team for that, but I'm not even talking about his team. I'm just saying random re-uploads getting hundreds, if not millions of views and likes, not even just views. But now I'm looking at all the media companies on Google News, for instance, and it's just damage control, to say the least. So, I think this, in my opinion, and again, I could be very wrong, I think this kind of solidifies, all potential fraud aside, I think this kind of solidifies the fact that a Republican's going to win. The question is it going to be Trump or not? And I think it is. I think we're going to see another 2024 might actually be a Trump go. The only other person I can think of is Kennedy. I don't know who else is running.
Well,
DeSantis kind of screwed himself. He's kind of
over. He's got 15 days to decide, and I wouldn't rule him out. I would not. I would. Only because there could be some man-made difficulties for Trump.
Absolutely, with all these allegations.
It's a very good idea for the Republican Party to have a backup plan just in case, because that's their intent. Having said that, you want the best person, and I do believe in primaries. I think you should do some debating, and we talked about this last time, I don't think the Republicans should waste money on it. Yep. Maybe do one debate, and that's it. Let the voters decide. Yeah, traditionally I think they do 3 of them, and you start whittling people out.
I can't. Again, I think DeSantis, to your point, he's got a chance, I guess. But I think when it really comes down to the primaries, I think they're just they know that. I don't think anyone's beating Trump on the Republican side.
I saw an article while I was away. 70% of New Jersey Republicans intend to vote for Trump.
That's insane. So for those of you that don't know, New Jersey is a very Democratic state to begin with. So I would have thought that even on the right, they'd pick someone other than Trump. But
remember, Chris Christie has said he's going to run, and he was our governor.
Right.
So
he didn't do very well. Remember?
No, he did not do well. And let's say he finished with a whimper. He started off okay, holding off a lot of stuff, but the point is, if you got a state like New Jersey, where you got 70% of the people considering him before they will a past governor in that party, speaks very well for him. I understand, and it's some of these polls you got to be really careful. We learned that with the subsequent elections. You got to find the right ones. Right.
I don't go by polls. I just go by who I'm hearing about the most, usually, because that's technically a poll. Again, you could make the argument, well, you're only getting whatever your feed shows you, and that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
But I don't understand these polls that are like, we asked 100 people. It's like even 1,000 is a small sample when we have how many voters are there? 15, 16 million voters. It's like half the country. Right? What's the number of
150? Well, a ridiculous number was in the last election, 186 million.
Yes. I said voters. 15. I was off a whole.
But if they supposedly 186 million people voted in the last election, which is statistically impossible.
Right.
But that's
because we've never had that before.
Right. That's back to
they make the argument. Well, it was such an important election that it is possible, but no. I don't. That's a tough one.
Yeah, it's never happened.
It's very hard to get people off their couches to go vote.
Yeah, there were a lot of things in that election that were not kosher. Having said that, you have to remember though, Chris, people dump a lot of money into the candidate of their choice. I mean, the Hollywood producer, what's his name,
Well, I think DeSantis is
he's already said, I'll put all the money necessary to whatever Biden needs.
Yeah,
Okay?
that's insane.
Which, that's a questionable comment to make because technically individuals aren't supposed to be funding candidates.
Right. Yeah.
And this is what we've come to as a nation. There's something really perverse about our election system. The financials behind it. I mean, we talked about Zuckerberg.
Sam Bankman-Fried. That's a great example. What was I going to say? Something about backing. I don't know anyone. Like, I have a lot of friends who are very left-leaning. I don't know any of them that say that they're going to vote Biden again. They say they'll vote Democrat, but I don't know who's the other Democrat running.
Well, Kennedy right now.
Oh, is he
and
declaring
Marianne
as-
Williamson, the woman that ran last time.
Is going Republican.
No.
Oh.
No, that would Kennedy would never go
Yeah, that's
Republican.
what-
They would all rise up from the grave.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I thought he changed to Republican just because of the anti-vax stuff, and he's very anti-vaccine.
He is very anti-vaccine,
Well, right then and there, he's not getting
and
to the primaries because they're gonna freaking
they're
that desperate. Well, then that even goes back to my point. I don't think Trump's gonna lose primaries.
No,
I don't think
mean,
he's gonna lose at all,
somebody was
honestly.
flirting the idea of a Trump-Kennedy ticket. You don't have to be from the same party
That's
to be
true.
the vice president. But Kennedy, I think he's
Big butt head.
Let's see what happens. A lot of people say stuff and then it progresses and, things get turned on its head. Having said that, I like a lot of things that Bobby Kennedy's saying. Mm-hmm. Okay? And we've talked about Vivek Ramaswamy. He says a lot of positive things. He's the other Republican who's thrown his hat in the ring. But the reality is, for all the talk about, and we said this last time, smoke and mirrors, right? With the transgender issues and Bud Light and some of the other goofy stuff. I shouldn't say goofy, homelessness and everything else. It doesn't matter. People vote. The economy is a big thing for people. They may not know half the stuff that's going on. I had conversations with people on vacation. A woman's going for a PhD. She doesn't know half the stuff going on in the world. And I don't hold it against her, but it shocked her to hear it because she realizes now she's uninformed.
Well, yeah, because that's one of the reasons why we started this podcast was because there's so much. Like, someone said this. I wish I knew who it was. I think Brian Callen said this on The Fight of the Kid, which was like, if you don't get into politics, politics is going to get into you. Mm-hmm. And it's just an inevitability. So I would rather people be informed and make their own decisions rather than not know about it at all. Because there are some people out there that I know just avoid politics and then they'll vote and then you tell them afterwards. Like I told you, one of my friends just found out about the fact that people have been robbing stores and just being able to walk out, and if it's under $1,000, it's essentially free. Right. She's like, "Where's that going on?" I was like, "That's been going on since COVID." Right. Right. So the lack of information is just as bad as misinformation, in my opinion.
Well, I was naive in my 20s. You're in school, you're focused on schoolwork, you get a job and everything else. But that's why I say to you guys all the time, when you didn't care about politics, like what I don't care. You treat it like it's something on the side.
Well, it's the
or
last
something
thing you want to think
do.
about when you're 18.
Exactly.
19.
But as you start to get older and you go through school, unfortunately, I think your brother's seeing it's in his face a lot more than it was with you. Definitely more than I had it. Because politics in my college back in the 80s was something you did on the side. It wasn't really in your face. Right. Nowadays, they force you to make a decision. Like it's always in your face.
I think you can make the argument though that the 2016 election was probably
absolutely.
That kind of flipped everything.
But
everyone's involved in politics.
I want you guys to understand is it does matter. It does affect you.
Yeah.
People who say, "Oh, I don't vote. I don't care. I don't vote." All right, that's fine. That's your choice. You're a citizen. You don't have to vote.
But you can't complain when...
Well, but be prepared when you get your paycheck and you're taxed up the yin-yang and you don't understand why. Well, you better look at the people that won, whether you voted or not, and start looking at what they're saying because it does affect your everyday life. That's why they call it kitchen table issues. So a lot of people don't even know what's going on in Ukraine. A lot of people don't even know about the Afghanistan surrender. They may not even know about the transgender
they
stuff.
know. So here's the problem, though. They know about it. They just don't know the in-depth details. Like a lot of people here.
You would be surprised.
You think that there's people in this country that don't know that there's a war going on in Ukraine?
Well, I don't think they know.
Maybe a small
I don't
portion,
know if they realize how involved we are.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know if they care.
Yeah.
And do I fault them? Well, sure. Because you should know this when we're getting involved in military conflict.
I told you, right? My one friend, she didn't even know. She voted but didn't know who was running in the presidential election of 2020.
A lot of people do
Like
that.
that's a weird one to me.
They
I'll
just
never
vote the
understand
ticket.
that.
They don't vote the person. Like they've always voted. My whole life I've been
Right.
Democrat. We've always voted Democrat or Republican, whatever. And that you can do that again. But to say, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect me.
Right.
Oh, you're kidding yourself. It definitely.
Here's a
affects
question
you.
for you. So this is one that I hear thrown around. This is another. I blame Brian Callen for this one. He says, and again, I kind of agree, but I'm curious on your thoughts, that you should care less about the political and federal stuff and start focusing more on your local politics. It's just better for you.
Right. So since the 2020 election, the push has been that election was, I'll say, altered, if you will, because of local
Right.
legislatures, meaning state, municipal, whatever.
That's a fair argument.
Right. And that affects you federally because your local, meaning your state legislatures, they decide the rules for your election. And that's where we had a lot of changes, if you will, because of COVID. So that woke a lot of people up to, well, wait a minute. A federal election, why does the state get involved? Because that's how our Constitution works, right? Each state sets up the rules and regs based on how you have a federal and state election, but the federal one is what other states care about, right? So because of that, people woke up to the fact that, oh, it's the state legislatures. Well, now you start taking your state representatives seriously, right? A lot of people don't even know who their state representatives are.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah. And
Now, on that, for your listeners, that's not the federal government. That's not the Nancy Pelosi's, the Chuck Schumer's. This is your state legislature, okay? Usually you have some form. They may call it assembly. They may call it the House of Representatives, the Senate. Those individuals are the ones who were responsible for setting election rules and whatnot. Then they started looking at the attorney generals of each state. Why? Because they were changing election laws left and right. That goes against our Constitution, but they did it because it was an emergency with COVID.
Right.
Okay. And then you had courts deciding it. Again, goes against our Constitution. They are not supposed to change election rules. And that's why you heard a lot of people saying, and they were mocked for it, the Constitution doesn't get suspended in an emergency. We don't have that written anywhere. You know, none of these laws, we don't take away your First Amendment rights because there's a COVID virus or the Spanish flu.
Right. You don't
or
just take off.
an Ebola. Right. That's the point, that you have to work with those rules.
Well, when they do, what do you call it? What's the special word for when government takes a pause? Right. Remember when they couldn't agree on something during the Trump?
Shutdown.
Oh, is it shutdown?
Well, you shut it down.
I thought there was a more special word for that. But when the federal government gets shut down like that, what happens in the sense of your Constitution stays the same, but what ends up shutting down? It's just people don't come to work?
Yeah, well, a government shutdown is financial. So all government workers don't get paid because until they pass a budget, which we go through every year, and right now, for listeners out there, you're hearing about the debt ceiling. Okay? That's all part of it. And what you have, it's kind of a joke in a sense. You have emergency workers. They will always work. Okay? When they shut it down, you're going to hear every Democrat scream, these people aren't going to get money. How are they supposed to live? Which is a valid point. But they get it when it's done. They get back pay.
Oh, they do?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a government job. that's
it's always funny how they manipulate that to be like, oh my God, they're losing so much money. When in the end, once it's over, they just get all their money anyway.
Right. It's like a paid vacation.
So they don't get. Yeah. Okay. So now I understand the shutdown a little bit better.
Right. I mean, that's like 90% of it is how it works.
Still, that's
now,
insane.
The debt ceiling's a different story because the debt ceiling is the credit card of the country. And that, again, for people listening who are of whatever age and their eyes are glassing over saying, oh my God, what do I care about the credit card or the debt? You're paying that.
Yeah. Taxes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're paying that long after I'm dead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's why you have
Probably
people
when I'm dead too.
like myself drawing a line in the sand saying, no more. No more. Don't raise that debt ceiling. But we're going to default. It's like the shutdown. You're going to shut down the government.
And what's the worst part about it is it's not just the tax. I think when people hear that, they go, oh, taxes on like my house, property tax, whatever. But it's also taxes on top of the taxes that they're going to take out of your paycheck.
Yes.
So you're going to start seeing, like, they keep raising minimum wage, but I think they're fine with that because they know that they're going to tax you out the woo-ha anyway. Yeah. So if they raise it to 16 and let's say they take out $2 just out of estimation, and then they raised it to 16, and now it's $3. So you went from 14. Now they just get taxed you for the 3, and they go, "Oh, okay, balances out."
Right, and then big picture, it affects things like interest rates. So when you buy a house, the mortgage will be incredibly expensive. That's more money out of your pocket, right? So there's a lot of things involved in that, but that's why elections matter.
And I think that's why people,
you need to be aware.
I think people who understand the financial aspect of things understand that having a politician in office might not work. Not saying that maybe Trump would be better, but I mean, you can't deny that he's a businessman.
We had the best economy
during the Trump
prior to COVID.
Yep.
In basically the history of our country.
Yes.
Minorities were doing incredibly well, more so than they had ever done in this country.
Right.
Okay? So to say a lot of things played into it, you're right, but you can't underestimate that.
Yeah. So that's why I think to me, that's why media kind of spins everything as in, oh, he's the bad guy, right. Which in reality, I mean, it's just that politicians didn't like the idea of all the cutting he was going to have to do in order to bring that debt down.
But I give American citizens a lot of credit. Things that do matter to them really matter to them. Yeah. And when you're living paycheck to paycheck, trying to feed your family, trying to, get by, pay your mortgage, and you can't, you got to decide if you're going to pay the heat or the electric to get through the week. And somebody comes along and says, "Do you remember when it was great and we didn't have this?" Try selling that to somebody. Why would I vote for Biden again if this? And sometimes it's unfair. I think Biden deserves it, but sometimes that's what happened. That's the reality.
Right.
That's what happened to George Bush. We had an economic breakdown, and that's how Barack Obama got elected. He wasn't doing that well until we had the 2008 crash.
How did Obama actually do with the financial aspect of things? Besides all the other stuff they did, I don't know. How was our financial?
Well, I mean, you could debate it with people, but his thing was Build Back Better, where he, dumped a ton of our tax dollars, money, financed all these bailouts for all these businesses in 2008, and tried to do shovel-ready projects, construction work and whatnot, to stimulate the economy. A lot of economists would have told you, you just got to ride it out. We didn't have to do all that.
Right.
Because guess what? We're still paying for all those programs now, too.
Right.
It helped with the Trump economy because when overall does well, the whole country does well, right? But even with his, there's still a lot of room for improvement because companies like, Apple, they don't pay much in taxes. Billion-dollar companies, they don't pay much. So
Amazon.
The burden gets thrown to individuals, to the middle class, and that's a problem.
I would love to see what all the CEOs of those companies, like one CEO obviously, but all the executives, I want to see how much their business expense. It's probably a stupid amount of money to avoid the back tax and taxes.
Well, I mean, they use loopholes or whatever, but many of them do pay their fair share of taxes. Many of them are, that's why the joke of, we're going to tax the rich more. Right?
Yeah, it never works out.
Whenever
just
everyone
end up leaving.
Socialized medicine, they want to tax the rich. You could tax all the rich. You could take all their money. It still
doesn't
won't
make
pay
any.
for
So statistically, I think it's still only like 1% that the wealthy pay. It's like a really small percentage if they paid all their taxes. It's like really small.
No, I thought it was like 1% of the population pay 30% of the taxes. That's the very wealthy do pay a chunk.
Oh, maybe
of
that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, even if they were to pay all their taxes, it still doesn't change anything. Like it doesn't change.
Well, I mean, it's really the corporations that make a lot of money,
which are worth
and by the
much
way,
more than
we've
individuals.
talked about the university's endowments. Some of these are billions of dollars. They don't pay taxes on that.
Yeah, which is insane. Yeah, that's one of the loopholes.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's a lot of loopholes.
Charities
before they ever
loophole.
Touch that, they go after the middle class.
I saw a life insurance one that was a pretty interesting loophole. This guy, multi-billionaire, he paid like $50,000 a month in life insurance, like way over the amount. So basically, he wouldn't have to. He got around the estate tax when he died.
Yeah.
So again, there's a loophole for everything if you look hard enough.
Yeah. Well, remember that too for a lot of young people who may not have a lot of assets.
Right.
Where they also get screwed is they also like to do things like if you're very wealthy, you have an estate. An amount that is tax-free when you die to your heirs or whatever you do with it, right? Anything above that gets taxed, right?
Yeah.
So what they wind up doing is they start lowering that threshold. So you can only like put $500,000 tax free, and yet millions. Now, for those rolling their eyes saying, "Oh, what difference does that make?" Well, if you're counting on that money when you're older, when mom and dad die,
difference.
You're not getting it because a bigger portion would be taxed. So
yeah,
I don't know, how do we get off on that
well,
tangent?
Trump tried to get rid of that estate tax. Remember? I don't know why they shut it down. Well, I know why they shut it down, but I'm surprised no one brought it up.
They're always trying to do stuff with the estate tax, raise it, lower it. They chip away at it. They put these ridiculous rules in that they create loopholes over, and you come up with these
government
trusts.
Always wants a piece.
Yeah, well, it's just
what they take out of your paycheck and taxes isn't enough.
No, it's not.
Speaking of Robert J. Kennedy, what is this? Robert Kennedy Jr. Jeez,
okay, so hats off to him, saying what we have talked about here in the podcast. They're finally catching up with us, Chris. Okay, he is linking the SSRI antidepressants with these mass shootings, and based on what he's saying, many of these individuals have been on antidepressants or some psychiatric drug.
Oh yeah. I thought we knew this. See, I always forget that some of this isn't just widely known. You know?
We know it, but they don't talk
they don't
about
want to talk
it.
About
they
right.
go after the guns, right? And Trump said it. Trump mentioned it also. I think that's what they also said in this year. Trump touched upon it in the CNN town hall. Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see somebody, a Democrat too, bringing this up because they keep harping on the guns. You could take away every gun. It won't matter.
Yeah, you're still going to have guns,
right.
even if you make them illegal.
Right.
Our cartel would make so much money off gun smuggling.
Yeah, but for people who say, well, we don't have this problem in England because we don't have guns. We don't allow guns over there in England. Well, that's true, but you have to remember that up until recently, we are the most medicated country in the world. Like, I wrote this thing down, like 4 times as much.
Yeah, which is insane.
Okay, and...
Well, that's because, then it's a domino effect. Now you blame Big Pharma because they make so much money off these SSRIs. I don't know what you do.
We take 4 times as many drugs.
God,
as
you know what?
I
think we're a depressing podcast. I might have to put us there.
No, hey, I bring in the penguin cataract surgery.
We might be the one that brings everything down.
No, but I think the point is, if we address this, the real problem, we might see fewer of these shootings.
But the other downside for Kennedy here is, like, this is the kind of shit that doesn't get him through the primaries. I completely agree with him, and I think most people would agree with him. But
no, but you know what? Anybody will tell you this, like from your grandparents' generation. The Democrats today, John F. Kennedy, he wouldn't recognize them because they're extreme, right? Bobby Kennedy, they look at this like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he sounds like a Republican with this comment. That's the traditional Democratic Party. That's what, he happens to focus on. He was, should I say red-pilled? I don't know what the term would be, but the Children's Health Defense Fund, I think they badgered him to look at the data when they were looking at vaccines and autism, trying to make the connection.
And he saw the data, right? And he was like, oh.
He fought it, and then one day he said, all right, fine, I'll take a look. And he was That's what started him on this path of, this was before COVID, right?
Yeah.
This is what started him on that path of, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? So I will give this particular Kennedy credit for that he was willing to look at it not from a political point of view, but as this is messing people up here, children and whatnot, and it was pretty blatant. So then he was on a tear about Fauci, and he actually wrote a book about Anthony Fauci, the real Anthony Fauci, recently.
He's going to get a lot of Democratic votes, I bet. If you can get through the primaries, I think he's a better candidate than Biden.
I don't think I think there are far more moderate Democrats and moderate Republicans out there than are being given
absolutely.
Credit, right?
But the problem is they don't get through the primaries. So it's like, look at our Hawaiian, Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah. Remember? She tried getting the 2016 election, right?
Well, if Bobby Kennedy is serious, he's going to have to start talking more about economics because people don't. It's funny. As much as people care about gun control and the guns, that's not a table issue if it doesn't affect you, right? And in the scheme of things, it's a very small percentage risk for any child to be in a mass shooting. They make it sound like every day a kid goes to school, he's going to die. It's small. They have a greater chance of being in a car accident.
Now, if it was any other person that wasn't a Kennedy talking like this, do you think we'd even hear about it?
Oh, they'd be laughed.
Yeah, I don't think we'd even have this conversation if they were on the right.
Well, keep in mind, this is a conservative website. I don't know that they talk anything about Bobby Kennedy on CNN.
God, you
or
only
MSNBC.
pick conservative websites.
Well, I can't get this article anywhere else. I mean,
Right.
I can't get, and you take it for what it's worth. I mean, people don't have to go with the slant, but his quotes are there, and it's pretty reliable when they quote stuff. So, I don't want to see the toenails. So you can draw your own conclusions. Doesn't matter the source. It's whatever the actual information is. And I do know from following him that he is making that connection, and I give him credit for doing that. And it allows Trump also to talk about, not that he needs it, but he could talk about it too. If we're serious about ending gun violence, you can't get rid of the guns. We've tried that. States that have the toughest gun control laws have some of the worst data for murders with homicides with guns. It's got to be something else. We can't be in denial anymore. And even though the pharmaceutical industry doesn't want us to talk about it, this is they're using.
Oh yeah. Isn't it like 60% of Americans are on some kind of depressant or
I
antidepressant?
don't know the stats on that. It's just finally.
I should probably look that one up.
Take.
What percentage of Americans are on antidepressants?
Well, he also said, and psychiatric drugs, not just antidepressants. SSRIs.
Right. So, okay,
type,
so let's do SSRIs. Are on SSRIs.
And by the way, didn't we talk about a report a few podcasts ago where they're not even sure those work?
1 in 10, so 10%.
But they weren't even sure that they work. These
Right.
SSRIs, antidepressants, could be causing more depression. I mean,
I think Tom Cruise came out about that. I think Tom Cruise back in the day, and everyone called him crazy.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And then it turns out, Tom Cruise.
Who's crazy now?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's fighting an uphill battle, but he's got a platform, and that's why I say I give him credit for doing it.
All right, this one I saw, and I don't know how. This is an interesting one, Canada. Trudeau, what are you doing?
Okay.
Now, I'll tell you this right now. Matt Sprague's probably that 1 in 4.
I know, right?
So, for those of you that don't know what it says, 1 in 4 Canadians agree with euthanizing the poor. Where's this from? Now, is this one of those polls where they ask 10 people?
No, well, 18 to 34-year-olds, 40% support death for the poor.
That's
Right.
a weird one.
But if you look at the tongue-in-cheek terms, when you look at the beginning, it's like, the person who wrote this article says, yeah, sure. At first it was...
Wait, in the article or?
Well, yeah, like the first paragraph, and he's making the point. Initially, there's sympathetic test cases. They start out with the arguing that a raped 12-year-old should be get an abortion, and then before you know it, it's partial birth abortion for bored celebrities. He's making a point that, this is where it starts. So we were going to euthanize all these people that are on death's door in a lot of pain. Next thing you know, we're killing teenagers who are depressed.
Yeah, right. Isn't that how it started? If I remember right, I think they passed a law that you can be
Yes.
euthanized if you choose to.
Yes, if you're a teenager and you're depressed.
Right.
Okay? And now we're taking it to the point where, you know what? Let's just get rid of the homeless and the poor.
Yeah. Wild. That's a wild one.
Yep. It's pretty sad, and it's
But why
amazing.
the poor? Like, specifically, why the poor? Just because it's like the
they're a
idea
burden.
that... Oh, okay.
They're burden. Why should you exist? That's kind of how they look at it.
Right.
You must be in such
So
a
you
sad
don't bring
state.
anything to the...
You bring nothing to the table. Like it's their fault that they're poor. And by the way, many individuals we know, look at this country. They're drug addicts, which may or may not be their fault, right?
Right. I was going to say, because most of them are drug addicts or veterans with severe
Veterans.
PTSD.
Yes. So, I mean, all right, so they're inconvenient, so let's allow them to be euthanized.
Yeah, the first time the other day I saw real PTSD in a video, I didn't realize what PTSD was actually like in the sense from a veteran. I always thought it was like how you kind of see in movies or TV shows where it's like, oh, they kind of lose their shit in their house basically, and they're back in the war. I saw a video of an ambulance pulling up, and the guy was on the ground still thought he was holding a gun, like on the ground under cover or like behind cover.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it gets to that level.
I think it
I
manifests
thought it was more
in
of
a
like
different way.
yeah. Like, I didn't realize that it got to that point where it was like, oh, this guy still thinks he's in Afghanistan holding a gun. I always thought it was like just a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
So again, luckily we don't have anyone we know that has severe PTSD like that. But that was the first time I've ever seen that. I didn't know it got that bad.
No, yeah, I mean, I think it's underrated how much
I thought
these poor
movies
veterans go through.
over exaggerate it, but No, I guess that was a weird one to me to see.
Yeah.
I don't even want to pull it up because it was so sad.
Yeah.
But what other ones do we have? Secret to
The multitasking is a good one.
Go ahead.
All right.
This ought to be good.
One thing I use
Finally a fun one, non-depressing.
I laugh about this because women always pride themselves in being multitaskers. We're the gender that
I think that's what I'm going to title this video, though.
I've always, I've always said in a positive way, males tend to focus on one thing and get it done. May not be great, whatever, but that's more them. Whereas women are all over the place, right? Multitasking, as though that's a great thing. So a neuroscientist at MIT says, guess what? Your brain can't multitask.
Yeah. Like analytically, I don't think it's good at it in general.
What it does is it does task switching. So it'll do it in small pieces, but you're never doing multiple things with your brain at the same time, okay? Our brain can only do one task at a time. We need to go back to monotasking, do one thing at a time. And some of their suggestions for doing that is to wean yourself from the distractions, and they talk about all the electronic stuff. Do 15 minutes of one thing, then break for 5. So your brain has the time to just focus on the one thing, and it takes a little break. You can do something else, but you can't do the multiple things. You can't be on the phone while you're folding the laundry and watching the kids. Something's going to give.
Back in the day, many, many years ago, there was an episode of a show on, I think, Discovery Channel where this guy was like, yeah, I can totally multitask. So they were like, hey, here's a laptop. You're driving through these cones doing an obstacle course. And the guy just couldn't do it. He's like, oh, I'm a really good multitasker. I'm doing meetings on the phone and stuff. And then they give him a slight obstacle course and he couldn't do it.
Well, it's funny. They said take a walk, but only take a walk. So they looked at people that walked with their phones versus people that walked with no electronics. And the ones that had no electronics had a better experience. Like you can see in the article, like a more productive
I would love to,
walk.
but as you can see, it's Wall Street Journal and I don't have access.
Boy, that's weird that happens.
Because
you have to go to the site. That's why.
Moist Critical did a great video yesterday about how YouTube's getting rid of ad blockers, so now you can't have ad blockers.
Okay.
He brought up a good point. I don't know the last time where I actually turned my ad blocker off or something. If I look up something and it says please turn your ad blocker off, I'm instantly finding a new site. I'm not turning my ad blocker off for you. It's too much of a hassle.
Oh, I don't bother.
I don't think you use an ad blocker though.
I've gotten lately. I get articles that say, "Do you want to keep having ads and read the article?" And I always say, "Fine."
I don't even have that. Mine's like, so mine usually just gets rid of all the advertisements. Ad blocker's been around for like a decade. But
if you take it with the ads, you won't have to subscribe on some of the sites that I go to. So that's the choice.
Right.
And I don't care about the ads that much. I mean, they're a little annoying, but I don't need a subscription to 100
I'm with
places.
you. If you tell me I have to subscribe to a news article that someone made on a website, I'm probably not even going to read it. And I think 90% of people are probably in the same boat.
Yeah,
let's say 80.
I had a bad experience with the Wall Street Journal, so I refuse to have a subscription with them again.
You hear that, Wall Street Journal? Unless we're getting it for free.
Yep.
Sponsor us.
Sponsor us. Not after my comment. But having said that,
hey, my mom hates you guys. Can we get a sponsorship?
Some people think they are super taskers, but that's only about 2.5% of the population.
Right.
The fact of the matter is they can absorb multiple streams of information and keep it all straight, but it doesn't mean they can do multiple things at the same time. So they can take a lot of stimulus in and straighten it and do super tasks that way, but they're not really accomplishing each of those tasks. They're just absorbing all the info and prioritizing how they're going to do that one thing at a time. Okay?
Yeah.
So
my multitasking is pretty bad. Like there's certain things I can do. Like sometimes if I'm really in a time crunch for a video, I'll edit on one screen, like the video itself, and then do the thumbnail on the other. But to your point, I can't do both at the same time. Like I look back and I'm like, how the hell did I ever get anything done with one monitor though?
Well, it's funny because, it became a real issue with electronics because prior to that, there was always a self-expression. I heard it as a kid, and I never had the electronics we have today. No man can serve two masters. That comes from the Bible, right? You can't serve two masters. In other words, you can't do two things at once.
Yeah.
Something's going to give. Something's going to get lost. And there was a comedian years ago who they had this expression, the woman wants to have it all. She wants to have it all. She wants to have a career. She wants to have a family, blah, blah, blah. And this comedian came on and she says, well, you can't. was it? It might have been an actress, might have been Faye Dunaway, who said you really can't. Something's going to give. It doesn't mean you can't have both, but you can't do 100% of both.
Right? Yeah, you can't give 100% of your time to.
Right. It's just not the math.
I mean, even in video games, my viewers know when you guys watch me do my live streams, it's not good multitasking.
Yeah,
I can't do multitasks.
And it's
I also don't like multiple projects at the same time. That's another one I don't like doing. Mm-hmm. Like if I'm doing a full playthrough of something and we're trying to get the platinum. Like here's a better version. So when we do the speed runs, I don't touch any other games till I've completed that speed run because I just can't. I see it as a project next time. So
well, in certain work environments, I think that's their point. When you have to, if you have like multiple people saying, "I need this today, I need this today, this today,"
yeah.
Well, you don't want to do but their point is focus on one for 15 minutes and take a 5-minute break.
Move over to the other. Yeah.
You could do the next one or finish in the next spurt until you get one done. But sometimes you have to give an answer to multiple people in a day, so that's when it comes into play
right.
when you need to break it down and do it that way. But.
Agreed. I mean, multitasking I know is back in school before ADD medicine. I knew it wasn't for me.
Well, it wasn't the best thing.
Yeah.
We're learning it.
But I don't know if ADD medicine really helps you to multitask. I don't think it does. It just helps you focus on one thing and then move on to the next, kind of the 15-minute thing that you were just talking about.
Well, it depends. My understanding is it depends on what type you're using, and it helps to make connections. Like
Mom, when you're snorting it, when you're crushing up and snorting it, Mom,
it helps to make chemical connections in the brain that some brains don't do.
Yeah, like
they're missing certain connections.
And now we have Neuralink, which hopefully can help. I'm wondering. That's an interesting topic. I'd love to ask Elon that. How's the Neuralink in multitasking? Does it boost multitasking? Ooh, I'm going to write that one down.
You can't multitask. It doesn't work.
That's because the brain doesn't allow it. But when you have a mechanical object helping you with the neurons and the axons, Mom. Yeah. What else? Let's see. How about this one? Whales move, little finance. Back to finance. Whales move over about $1.1 billion in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Which doesn't sound like a lot, honestly. But this is where I get a little iffy with this is where Bitcoin and cryptocurrency kind of falls apart to me. Right? All these guys, right? We talk about how it just dipped last week. I won't lie, my prediction's not looking too good. I think I said 36 a couple podcasts ago, and now it got up to 32, and I was like, this is looking good. And now I think it's down to 26 last time I checked. Now, this is the problem with Bitcoin to me. And I knew this was going to be a problem when we first started the whole Bitcoin movement. So with these wallets that people see, I like the idea of being able to see people's wallets and seeing their transactions, even though I don't know who it is. Just because when it comes to the moving of money, you start to realize who's holding all the Bitcoin. So when they end up moving crazy, so this guy moved $269 million worth of Bitcoin to another wallet, and that causes everyone in the Bitcoin community who sees this transaction to go, oh, they're moving, that's a reason for me to move. Mm-hmm. And then it just absolutely kills the cryptocurrency. Yeah. So this is the downside to me of the crypto, right? The cryptos. Like when you're moving that much money, people are going to question. So that's the down. I get the concept of wanting to see transactions, especially if government starts getting involved, because that way you have to see their transactions. There's no way around it. So I just don't like this idea of, oh, this guy just moved all of his Bitcoin to another wallet. Something's about to happen with Bitcoin. So 300,000 people start moving all their Bitcoin over to something else.
Well, I mean, it's similar to the stock market. Somebody owns
but the difference is
the
stock
market on it.
Yeah,
it affects all the other stocks, and
but normally you don't see it. Usually that's just told, and then only certain people pick up on it. In this, everyone can pick up on it. If you're in the crypto world, you're probably watching other people, like all these big transactions.
Yeah, but you're being naive. If you're in the stock world, you're watching stocks. That's what you do all day.
Right, but you don't see one person move. One huge amount of money, right? Really? Do you?
Well, it wouldn't necessarily be a person, but say like BlackRock, the hedge fund. They make a move on a stock, it's $1 billion move.
Oh, is it? Okay, maybe then again, I'm very illiterate to the stock market, so I didn't realize it worked like that. I thought you would just see price drops and like ups and downs. I didn't think the stock market would tell you this one company just put X amount of dollars.
Well, what happens is they enact a trade. and they have to take it to a desk, and the desk does the trade. So
right, but the desk says it to all their people, right? They say it to people in their.
Yeah, but it's as big as the stock market world is. It's
Yeah.
a small world. There are only certain institutions that can
think
do
about
those
it. If
size
it comes
trades.
across your desk and you have only the employees at Wall Street will know about it until they start telling other people. This, I can just go in. Like, there's nothing on Wall Street can happen right now that I'm going to know about, right? Because it goes to those guys first. And then they bring it up, right?
There's a lot more regulations now in Wall
Right.
Street than before. It used to be that you could do like with Bitcoin. That's why the government, they don't like this Bitcoin.
Well, yeah, my
because
friend
things
was
happen and
my
nobody's
friend used to
tracking it.
work on Wall Street, and he told me a story how back in the day, this was back in the 80s into 90s, I believe. He said back in the day, whenever a big trade, he did crude oil. Whenever a trade came in, he would tell all of his friends at the office to buy into something before he put the, I guess, papers through, and they would make so much money. So that's the regulations my mom's talking about. In this, now it's kind of like the people can do that rather than just the people on Wall Street. That's what I'm saying. Because, right, it goes from Wall Street papers to someone who gets it out to the public, right? In this, there's no out to the public. It's all to the public.
But Wall Street's all online now. So
Yeah.
it is kind of well known who's doing these transactions. Because at BlackRock, it's not just one guy at a desk. They're an institution.
Right,
So when
right,
the
right.
institution makes a move, everybody knows it.
But you don't see individual people make those kind of transactions on.
Wealthy people can trigger stuff if they have enough money.
And it will say, like, for instance, Elon Musk just traded, not Tesla. It just says Elon
Well, you
Musk.
remember when Elon Musk made a comment and affected
Right, but
stocks.
that's not.
But if you dump all your stock and all of a sudden something happens, they do watch that because
So they will watch.
there could be
So
insider trading.
to answer
going
my
on.
question, they do watch individual people's stocks for if they move, if they're really wealthy. But like, who says that?
Yes, then you know people's holdings, like Warren Buffett. People know
Right.
because they talk about it. They talk about that. You may not know everything he holds, but if he's a major holder of stock in a company,
What have I done? That's okay.
it's coming. If he's a major holder of stock in the company, they let you know. Like some of these people, Carl Icahn was a big one. He was always like 51%. He would own a company.
Right, but that's parts of a company. This guy's just throwing his entire wallet over to another wallet.
Yeah,
So
well, I mean,
it's
Bitcoin's a little
like
bit
throwing
different.
your
It's-
whole net worth over,
Yeah,
which is insane.
right. But I don't know why that would trigger people in that world, other than they think, if he was going and buying a different Bitcoin into a different that
Yeah,
might
it sounds
trigger
like he's
something.
moving it to another wallet, which this is where I'd have a question for Kenny. Is he just moving it from one Bitcoin wallet to another Bitcoin wallet, or is he moving it to Ethereum wallet or like a Cardano
It doesn't really say on this. Does it?
Polygon? No.
Not that
So unless that's a term that I just don't know. Wallet. Like, I know what a wallet is. I don't know if it means from one wallet to another. But this is another weird one to me. So there's a Whale Alerts Radar is the name of an app that literally just watches the big donors. I guess they have something like that on Wall Street as well.
Yeah,
I'd
I mean
assume.
they do watch the big people, individuals and companies, because when they do transactions, they're not doing small ones.
Right.
They do big dollar amounts, even individuals, relatively speaking, and that affects.
Yeah.
the
I'll say
ripple
this. I know we
effect.
still talk about Bitcoin, but I feel like we're kind of at the point where we need something completely new. Because now I never hear about Bitcoin except for these articles. No one really talks about it anymore. I kind of feel like I'm going to say it. I feel like the craze is over. Unless we have some huge market crash that would just terminate America back to sad mode. That would just terminate America, and then we'd have to
Well,
go to something, a different
The
currency.
economy is going to have an impact on it. Number one, and number two, governments are moving towards digital currency.
Yeah.
Which
And I
will
think
make-
that's going to make people not want to get into digital currency.
Well, you're not going to have a choice if the government does it, which unless the people en masse revolt and say we're not doing this. But Bitcoin is not regulated, which might be a positive for them. Well, people will say, forget it then. I don't need a bank account. I'll just do everything with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But there's always that risk with Bitcoin that they could just legislate it away. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a
Which is
scary
very
one.
possible.
It's very possible because it hasn't grown, I don't think, to the extent. There are
That we
big
thought.
dollars, but I just don't know if the network out there is big enough. Hey,
This
if
is
it
what
makes a
happens
lot
when
of
all
money,
those-
they're going to find a way
yeah.
to tax it.
This is what happens when all those big Bitcoin guys are like, Bitcoin's going to go to 1 million next year, and that never does. You just can't. Well, it's like the boy who cried wolf. I truthfully, I'm kind of at the point where I think Bitcoin's kind of, it's going to stay like this for a while. And by a while, I mean many, many years. I think it's going to slowly fizzle its way out until it has a couple hundred or a couple thousand guys that still have it left, and then it's going to shoot up, and then we're going to have that craze again, and then it's going to go back down. I think we're going to see this pattern over and over for the next couple decades.
We had too many people out there when this started saying, oh, it'll never go anywhere. And then it went somewhere. And then some said, oh, it's going to be the next thing, you should get into it. And they were wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know, what to tell you. I don't like to be a snob about it because guess what? It's not that much different than the stock market. The only difference is over time the stock market got regulated.
And it's not yeah, that's really the only difference.
Plus
other differences, but like not those are too in depth that I want to go into tonight.
Yeah.
How about this one? What's the most hated day in the restaurant business? Tomorrow's big day. You know why? And it's so true. I was reading this article. So Mother's Day is the most hated day in the restaurant industry.
By the restaurants?
Yeah.
Why?
Think of how, I never thought about this, but it's so right. Think of how many people make last minute reservations, right? Yeah. How many people just want to find a spot. So this article goes into it about why Mother's Day is so bad. Father's Day, people don't usually go out as much, but big tables, it's like, hey, someone's, One black sheep or in-law who can't be relied upon to save their lives. I dread it, said Haley. There was a good line in here, jam-packed. Where was it? It was, it's bus of years. I guess have the highest expectations for see some fuss over tables on the patio. That's a big one. But no, there's one line in here that I thought was really funny. It was half the groups here or whatever. We have so so what's bad about it? From big groups that show up in waves, most of us are here, which is so true. Think of how many times we've done that. Well, I think of our family vacations. Remember, so we used to go to
Mexico. There's few that are left.
Yeah, we have a pretty big extended family. We used to go to Mexico every year when I was growing up, and it was all like there's 50 of us, it feels like, and it feels 50. Like 30. And I always felt like it was like, oh, most of us are here. Now that I look back on it, that must have been such a nightmare for the servers. So, I can see why Mother's Day.
That's with calling ahead to say, could you set up a table for 15 people who are coming at 8 o'clock?
The anticipation alone could make you anxious.
Sure.
Jam-packed. Mom could never pick. They never cancel people who take their mother out once a year. Nothing can go wrong, he said. I just thought that was funny. That it's the least. So this is why we're not taking you out for brunch tomorrow, Mom.
Okay, good. You're making a stand.
I'm making a stand. I'm helping the restaurant industry.
Well, it's like Valentine's Day. It's just so,
Valentine's Day is not that hard, though, because it's only 2 people.
No, I know, but it's tough to get reservations. It's the busiest night. The service isn't that great because they're so busy. I mean, sometimes it's worth doing that day before, day after thing. Dad asked me, he says, oh, what do you want to do for Mother's Day?
Why can't you people just make your mom breakfast?
That's right. That's what little kids used to do.
Why? Because I don't wake up till 1 on the weekends.
Yeah, because you don't care about your mother enough to wake up early enough to make a breakfast.
Maybe I'll make you dinner and it'll be some soup.
Please.
It'll be Oliver Twist style.
Aren't you like 35 or something?
What's my birthday, Mom? So I only have one gaming news that I'm kind of debating if we even want to go over, but Legend of Zelda, people keep asking me about this one because everyone's like, oh, you should freaking get it. So Nintendo just released its new game.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty big one. It's the new... I went on a whole rant on stream. I don't want to go on the rant again, but I think this game absolutely freaking sucks. I played the first one. Yeah. I like Zelda, but the last 2 games, I think Breath of the Wild was terrible. So this is how they justify this, Mom. So first off, let me tell you why all these Nintendo kids need some help. So as you guys can see, my Switch is right there. I haven't touched it in a year because there's literally no games for it, right? The only reason that this is so exciting, and one thing I'll give it credit for is, I don't know if you saw, I'm sure you've seen it in the news maybe, but the lines that were outside of GameStop for this, because of course Nintendo can't be bothered with online stuff. So they had
buy it at GameStop?
Basically. You don't have to, but most people like the special edition with the cool box and stuff.
It's great for GameStop because
they need it.
They need the business.
But I mean, it's been a long time. It's not since I was a kid have I seen the long lines outside of a GameStop.
I'm
like
listening.
The really
I just
long
thought
lines.
I had a game article that you said that, but I don't see it.
But yeah, so but it's a $70 game, right?
Oh
so
my gosh.
that's standard now.
That's crazy.
That's most games. So $70. And Johnny's been pitching it to me. He's like, Chris, you should get it. And I'm like, one, I hated the first one. And then he's like, he starts telling me what's great about this one. He goes, hear me out. It's the exact same game as the last one, same map and everything, but now there's Sky Worlds. And I'm like, oh, so basically downloadable content. They're making you pay $70 for a full thing. Now, let me tell you why this game's so exciting to people, Mother.
Why?
It's the first game they've had since the last game. Nintendo's so bad, right? You notice how we never talk about Nintendo games because they don't have any games.
Yeah, when was the last one? How long
the last
ago?
one was probably 4 years ago, I'd say.
Oh, that's
so
not too bad, but
it's
still.
but there's been no other games since. I'm not even talking about Legend of Zelda games.
Oh,
It's just there's been no games for it. Oh, sorry. There's been nothing for it.
This
So
is
that's
Nintendo?
what. Yeah,
Wow.
the Switch sucks. I'm gonna say the Switch was a cool idea. It sucks.
Nintendo is only the Switch now? That's all
Yeah, they don't have anything else. Yeah, but then again, so does PlayStation and Xbox. They only have the Xbox. Well, Microsoft, which is why they're killing it right now. They just bought out. They're doing the Activision deal for $69 billion.
What about the old days when you guys would have a Game Boy and you could play it on the different...
They don't do
They don't do an Xbox version or a PS.
No,
version.
nowadays there's really no point because now most of what they'll do is they actually make devices that allow you to make your Xbox portable. So some people,
wow.
yeah. So you can bring your whole Xbox on the road. It'll last like 6 hours. I know Eric Griffin, a comedian, brings his whole Xbox on the plane and stuff. But the handheld systems are kind of obsolete now, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
That's why the Switch does so well because
There isn't
anything else in that market
Well, no, I get
except
that,
for the
but
Steam Deck.
I'm just surprised because they used to do, like, there would be a theme game, but you could get it on Xbox or PS or...
Yeah, those are the exclusives.
Okay.
But I think with this Activision deal, the Xbox Activision deal with PlayStation, I think we're going to stop seeing exclusive games. If they didn't have the Switch and it was like not a portable concept, Nintendo would be dead. Zero chance that they would survive. But again, the games that are on there are great, but there's only like 5 games on the Switch. So I can't get excited for this new one. This new one looks... Again, it's fundamentally fine. Listen, let me tell you what it is, Mom. I'll tell you what it is because it drives me nuts. All this game is a crappy open world game that I think Nintendo was like, oh, what the hell do we do with this? And they said, let's slap Zelda's name on it. And then that's how it sold. It has nothing to do with any of the games
There's
that
no
have been
Zelda
around.
theme like that?
It is now, but when you break down the game, it's not a Zelda game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's completely different from what I've played. Now people are going to give me shit for this. And they're going to go, oh, well, freaking... That's because you're not good at it or whatever. I think weapon durability stupid in a Zelda game. You're hitting guys with sticks, cool. The physics is pretty nice, but it's like I can find so many other games that do that are cheaper than $70 that have better physics engines. So again, that's my. I didn't
take your word for it.
For my mom's mental health. I won't go into why I think this game absolutely sucks, but they should have released it as DLC for $20 on the old one rather than make people pay $70 for the new one.
It's no Harry Potter.
No
Star Wars.
I think the Star. Well, I said this. We completed it. We finished the Star Wars game last week, right? And I'm putting that up for Game of the Year so far. This is probably going to end up winning it because console kids, again, this is the only thing they have on Nintendo. So, of course, it's the only game they've had to play. So, of course, they're going to put it up in the running. It'll probably end up winning, but I think it absolutely sucks. I don't think Hogwarts was this year, too. So I would put...
Did it take 4 years to master the last Nintendo game for a lot of people?
Did it take 4 years to master? No.
I was gonna say maybe
there's so much
took a
to
while
do
for
in the
them
first
to
one.
be distracted and say, "Oh, now I have nothing else because I was too busy doing the last."
It's a massive world. I'll give it that. Like it's innovative, but it's just not Zelda to me. So it kind of grosses me out that they throw Zelda on this. But I truthfully think that if I was to sit down with the executives back when they were making the first one, I think what they did was they made a shitty open world and they were like, "Man, this is not very good. How can we spice this up?" And they were like, "Throw some Zelda characters in there," and that's how it feels like.
Right.
So. Yeah,
Zelda's the go-to. When in doubt, throw a little sprinkle of
Zelda.
Zelda.
Remember, all they have is Mario and Zelda. That's really it. Besides, like all the other Nintendo ones that haven't really had games in many, many years. Like the other ones,
so maybe they're making their money from the movies.
They made so much on the movie.
When's the Zelda movie coming out?
They were just talking about that. They want to do one. I'd watch that. Again, I love Zelda. Don't get me wrong, but this game sucks. This is just straight up just sucks. Yeah. I'll take that to my grave.
All right.
I don't know.
Nobody get the Zelda sequel.
If you want to go for it, but I think you're wasting $70. That's
And
what
I'm
I'm
guessing
saying.
they're not going to sponsor you.
No, Nintendo. If I talk about this, they'll probably freaking take us down.
Oh yeah, they
Freaking
sue us,
yeah,
like
they
did
sue you for
Microsoft.
saying Mario.
Was that Activision? That was Activision. Never mind. Right, this lawsuit with Microsoft.
Which
that
which one was
Activision?
that?
The one with they had the online. No, that was Apple.
If you're talking about the YouTubers that had his whole channel taken down, basically for
Yeah,
modding,
yeah.
that's Nintendo. They suck. Nintendo sucks. They have Pokemon, Zelda, and Mario, and that's it. And they've made an entire career on it. The GameCube was solid. Everyone unanimously, the GameCube was
Oh yeah,
one of the
sure,
greats.
Nintendo GameCube.
That squared.
That started it all.
Oh yeah,
That and the handheld. Yeah. Game Boy.
the Game Boys back in the day. PSP was cool. I still remember when I got that for Christmas. Remember, I was like, "Mom, I don't have a PSP," and she goes, "Look under the tree," and I'm like, "Ah!" But yeah. So back to my main point. Zelda
Hold on.
sucks.
What
Zelda's
started
going down.
it
the
all was the Activision. You have to.
The Intellivision, you mean?
In television, whatever Dad had.
Yeah, which I don't even really remember.
It's awful.
I think there's a. Let's see real fast.
You guys would die if you saw that thing today. Like today's standards.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Is there an?
You
Let's
had to
see.
do like a 4-code sequence to throw a touchdown.
Let's go to the emulators real fast. I'm curious.
I hate it.
I've owned all these consoles for anyone trying to sue.
Dad
I'm trying to
was
see
like,
if there's an Intellivision. That's what I should do with Dad. Hey, Dad, guess what? He goes, what?
Atari,
Yeah, the Amigi.
Sega,
Where's the ColorVision?
Atari.
Atari. Virtual Boy. I wonder if it's on here. Where's the what? How do you spell Intellivision?
INTELLI. There it is. Intellivision Classics.
Oh wow.
The football was like.
Intellivision ROMs. Oh, so they don't have the actual emulator. It's just the ROMs that you could download. What? Do you remember the game that Dad had?
The football.
What was the Indian one? Do you remember that one?
Indian.
Yeah, there was one that it looked like shit. I remember it was like old school Zelda.
You mean like pulling bow and arrows out? Those type of Indians?
Intellivision games. I'm curious. How much does one go for right now?
There it is. There's the console right there.
Oh yeah, Intellivision. I haven't seen it in so long. Intellivision. Oh, that's it with the buttons?
Yep. You had to put in a sequence in order to like do a defensive position. So it would take you 5 minutes to play because you had to enter all
I don't
the
even
data
remember
in.
that thing.
And then you push like go or enter, and you would watch the characters on the screen throw the touchdown.
You're
and
telling me
the guy
my
would
ass has to
cry.
do math while I'm playing the game?
Oh, it was awful.
What is this?
I hated that. Dad would be like, "Oh, you want to do television?" Like, no.
It was just so funny because my dad's so anti-video games now.
Well, he didn't do it often, but he had that dopey thing and
Television
it
games.
was
I'm
like
trying
you
to
blow
see.
the dust off of it, hook it up to the TV, and it just is too frustrating because
I want to see if I could find
there was a
Advanced
football
Dungeons
one.
and
He would probably
Dragons.
remember.
Yeah, I have to ask my dad.
But yeah, it was-
Now here's the real question: how much is a brand new Intellivision right now?
Do they even make them anymore? They don't
No,
make
it's probably
these.
considered a legacy.
Yeah, you have to go on eBay.
Intellivision price. I want to know brand new. What does it go for? $100,000. No, that's a.
Nintendo game eBay.
Let's see. Intellivision prices.
$250 used. It said.
$250 used?
Yeah,
What's a
eBay.
brand new one out of the box? 1,000.
I don't know, do they even have that?
Oh yeah.
See,
Price.
Intellivision console with games, $250 used on eBay.
New Intellivision price. I want to see if there's like a. How much is it worth today? CIB. Okay, so 120. I guess it wasn't that good of a console.
No, it was awful.
Oh, there's a second one.
The
There
only-
was an Intellivision 2 and we didn't have it?
The only person or only entity that would care about that is somebody doing a TV show from the 1970s.
Yeah.
And they needed it in television to put in the kids' room.
Yeah, that's about it.
1980s, 70s, I guess.
So the system itself, loose price, is $30. Oh, no. Wait, what's the Intellivision 2? Are you sure we had the 1 or the 2?
I'm pretty sure I had the one. Whatever that thing is, that's what Dad had.
That's it. What's
Well, I'd have to see what 2 looks like, but
yeah, let's
I
see.
doubt it was any.
But the
edge.
original one was $30. The game itself is about $9, which is literally like a third of the price of the console.
Yeah.
How nuts would that be?
In television 2 might have been colored buttons instead of black.
Yeah, I want to see. I want to see what the 2 looks like real fast. In television 2.
It says, yeah.
Oh, definitely not this.
Where is it?
Images.
Yeah, no, that's not.
That's too nice.
No,
that looks like something out of a Bond
No, but
movie.
see what I mean? They just colored the buttons.
Yeah, it's not much different, huh?
They changed the color of the box. Oh my gosh.
It's so funny because I would think that now Dad would see a video game console and be like, "Oh wow, this is pretty cool." And now that there's controllers and stuff, rather than this shitty cell phone.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was the wooden, black, gray wood. Classy wood sign on it.
Looks like something out of a car. Looks like the remember when they put cell phones in cars? That's what it looks like.
Well, I think they actually thought people would put that out at their house near their TV.
Hey, come on over for the charcuterie board and the fucking television.
Yeah, that was the original. You hooked it up to the TV, and that was the thought. Just like the PSPs, PS4s, and the Xbox, you hook up to a TV.
Did you just say PS Poors? That's what I'm gonna start saying when someone tells me that they play on console. Oh, you got the PS4, the PS Poor.
PS4. If you play that in Canada, they euthanize you.
Dear God.
Kick in the door, they take out cash.
Is that a PS4, not a PS5? Well, like PS Poor.
PS Poor. Go get them.
It doesn't look like we have any other things to go over, so I guess I'll just promote the stuff for the week. Again, my mom didn't go into details about her trip, so that's fine. I guess she's going to keep it secret.
That's right. People don't need to know my whole life story.
Yeah. The only other things that we have to promote, so obviously last week's podcast, that should be on Spotify, 44. This is 45. And then Ravenlock was last Wednesday. And then today I posted the video for Friday just because I had too much to do yesterday. So that one, Dreamscaper, the Xbox Games Pass Roulette video came out today, which is Saturday. Tomorrow's Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to everyone. And grandmothers, if you still have them, you know. I don't know how to say that. But again, that we're the Womp Womp podcast.
No, really.
If your grandparents or parents are still going, you know,
nice.
Yeah,
Womp Womp. Poor in Canada.
We might have to. We're gonna have to need a Womp Womp button. You know, just every sad thing that said Womp Womp.
If they're in Canada, send her money for Mother's Day.
Yeah. Please don't let them get euthanized in Canada. So yeah, other than that, social media down below, promo codes down below, other stream links down below, Discord down below for questions, and that's pretty much it. So hopefully you guys have a good Mother's Day, and we'll see you next week.
Here's a teaser for next week. Here's the headline: Buy your popcorn. Hunter Biden's sex worker.
Oh, here we go. Yes, another womp womp. Let's go. More politics.
No, that's a funny one. That's a funny one.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next one.